Hey,
Hello there.
hi, there we are. Hold on one second. Okay. How are you? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Okay. So we are live with Libby, but it looks like either I'm frozen or Libby's frozen. Let's see.
I
And
think we're
hi.
live.
Yes, we were. I was talking, but I don't know if I was frozen. You seemed frozen. Was I frozen?
I think you were frozen, but I'm not sure. Who knows? It's technology. But we're here now, so I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully, we don't freeze again. It's freezing weather here, so it wouldn't surprise me. But my name is Linda Downey. I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Libby Wright. We've been coming on Mondays to share some things with you about the impact of stress and anxiety, to invite you to a free group and a free 40-day journey that we're going to run along coinciding with Lent, using the construct of Lent to give up fear and anxiety. So that's where you've landed if you just came across this and you didn't know who we are, or if you follow us regularly. But either way, we would love it if you said hello, if you left a comment. This is streaming in multiple places, so we won't see all of the comments in real time, but we will go back and check them. And tonight we wanted to talk about, because the background for both Libby and I is health, and we wanted to talk about the impact of stress and specific emotions on your health, how that contributes to autoimmune conditions and other chronic symptoms. So again, my name is Linda Downey. I'm a transformational health and whole life coach. And Libby, I'll let you share a little bit about who you are.
Well, thank you, Linda. Well, I am also a wellness coach. I work with clients primarily who've been given really, really scary diagnoses and not a lot of hope, and trying to help them find their way through that and find that hope and courage to move forward. And and so, yeah, my husband is a functional medicine physician, and I've run functional medicine clinics for since 2015 now. So over 10 years, I've been in that functional space as well. And
Yeah.
that all started because I got Lyme disease and in my spine and brain and all my organs, and had neurologic Lyme. I was told by a lot of different providers that I probably wouldn't survive it. And I was in my early 30s. So I've been in remission over 10 years now and doing great. And that's why I really wanted us to touch on this topic tonight, because over 50% of Americans, at least, have at least one chronic health condition. And, a lot of times people, I think, and I'm just going to throw my opinion out here in the beginning. We can like chew on it or move on, whatever. But, I always thought, okay, I was from the dyed in the wool medical community. That's where I was, that was kind of the framework I always came from. And um, I just thought there was a pill or a cream or a cure for anything. Like medicine was always the way to go. And I thank God for medicine because it was a big part of what did end up saving me. However, I remember very vividly about it was over 10 years ago. I was meeting with my specialist and I'm sitting there and she said, "Great news, you're in remission." And I said, "Okay, but I still can't feel my legs and I'm still having all these symptoms." Like, what's going on? I'm glad that the Lyme is in remission, but I kind of did not. It felt very anticlimactic, right? Because I'm like, okay, I really thought it'd be like remission equals I feel well, and that was not where I was. And one of the things I talk about with my clients right away, and one of the agreements we have to make before I decide to work with any of them, is that we work on the emotion first, because I worked on the emotion last, and I think it made my journey take a lot longer than it needed to.
Mm, uh,
And yeah, so that's my little theory. I wanted us to talk through a little bit tonight, along with what you're saying.
yeah, well, it's actually not just a theory. It's proven. There's a whole science called epigenetics, which proves that the way cells function, and it's your body cells, cancer cells, disease cells, virus cells, has everything to do with the environment that they're in. And science also proves that our thoughts and our emotions create the biochemical environment that's in our body at any given time. And our thoughts and our emotions are what we constantly have going on. Like there's nothing more constant than thoughts and emotions. Even your meals, if you eat a meal and then there's several hours where you don't eat and you eat again, but you're always thinking and feeling, and that is always creating an environment in your body. And epigenetics says that's the biggest impact, much, much more so than genetics. So to your point as well, my background was also like, I struggled with autoimmune conditions. My first one showed up at the age of 21. I was diagnosed with 4 different autoimmune conditions as life went on, and I was a health and wellness professional. My master's is in physiology. My undergrad is in adult fitness. And I was doing everything that, that was 40 years ago. So everything at the time, whatever was the current information, this is what you need to do, I did it. All the supplements, I did it. And I got trained as a functional health practitioner. And I started off helping people in the same way. Let's work on your diet. Let's heal your gut. Let's do the liver detox. And there are supplements and things that make a big difference and help bridge whatever, needs to be bridged for the cells to function. But I also went to the very last place because I wasn't where I wanted to be, was my stress, what I stored in my body, and the emotional home base that I lived in all the time. So that's why both of us really felt like this was an important conversation, because science is now proven the connection in our Western culture. At some point, hundreds of years ago, they decided it makes sense to, if you have a physical problem, you go to a doctor. If you have an emotional problem, you go to your priest. If you have a mental problem, you go to a psychologist, and they're all separate. Many, many, many cultures around the world recognize we're not separate. We are all one organism, and each thing affects the other. So I'm going to use the term emotional body, your mental body, and your physical body. So, as we're getting caught up with other ancient cultures and what science now is proving in our culture, which is the whole functional perspective, that it's, that perspective says, let's look at how this organism functions, rather than as like in conventional medicine, it's specialties, right? You specialize in, you're a pulmonary specialist, or you're a digestive specialist, or you're an endocrine specialist. Functional medicine says, let's look at how this whole organism is functioning as a whole. So, so I wanted to bring up, because we could talk on this. I think you get the idea that Libby and I could talk on this till we go to bed tonight, but we want to keep it, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour tops, but 20 minutes. We would love to know if you have any questions. And I want to bring up a couple of slides or PDFs that I collected for you. So this first one, can we see this? If you're watching, and I see that there are people watching, if you're watching and you're watching it from a place I can see your comments, just say, yes, we can see it, because that would really be wonderful to know that this is actually showing up. But we have the technology now, it's called Kirlian photography, which can see the energy fields around a human being, around anything, right? And we are a biochemical system that is run by an energetic information. Oh, thanks, Anne. Anne-Marie says she can see it. Perfect. Thank you. So the energy frequency keeps the biochemical systems alive and going and functioning. So now this, thank you. Now I'm getting from people, they can see it. I so appreciate that. And thanks for being with us tonight. So this photography is showing you exactly where in the body and how lit up it is in the body these different emotions are. So we have anger, fear, disgust. I guess I don't need to read them to you if you can see it, right? But it shows, and I think it's so interesting, Libby, how some of these colors, right? Like some of them are really cold. and it looks
Yeah.
like not a lot of energy. And then some of them very lit up. And here's happiness, right? Like the whole body is lit up from the toes to the head. So just think of how that body with that energetic information working the systems or keeping the systems going, how that the health of that person who's feeling happiness. And Libby, would you share, like, when you finally said, okay, I need to take on my emotions, what were the big ones for you that you saw could be blocking your health?
Oh, geez, wow. Again, I could spend a whole hour teaching on that one, but I think like kind of the crystallizing conversation for me was my husband, who was, had been an amazing support to me and was just trying to love me the best way he knew how. Um, I He turned to me after going to yet another specialist who had disappointed us, and he said, "There's nothing more we can do for you." And to hear that from your husband, who is a physician, is pretty gutting, to be honest. I was just like, "Are you giving up on me?" Like I had all these emotions that just went through me. But I also married someone who was my best friend and someone who was always going to challenge me to be my best self. And what he was really saying to me was, "There's only so much medicine can do, Libby. There's so much going on." I had so much medical anxiety. I mean, I would just think about going to an office and just get all clenched up. I'd get headaches. I'd start throwing up. I'd get all these symptoms because I was just like being tortured, like that's really what it felt like. And I was subjecting myself to it. So I felt all these feelings. I felt anger, fear, disgust. I felt betrayal. I think betrayal was the biggest one for me to get over.
Hmm.
And I did feel some betrayal from the medical system, but honestly, that when I really dug deep, my biggest betrayal was I felt like my body was betraying me. And I felt like I was in a war with myself.
Hmm.
And like, body, why can't you just do this thing? I mean, come on. Just get better. Just come on. Let's do this. And when I really got into a place of healing, what I recognized was that was the least productive thing I could do and the most destructive thing I could do. Because when I was warring against the one thing that was trying to heal and get better, I was just like going against. It was so counterproductive to what I actually wanted and needed, which is to heal. And I was so angry with myself. Like, why couldn't I do better? Why couldn't I why couldn't I have figured out what was going on faster? Why couldn't I just get well? Why, other people don't deal with this. And all the mom guilt and shame around, not being able to be at the kids' events and not being able to do this or that. When I was diagnosed with Lyme, I was sitting in a parking lot at our corporate, we had a big corporate wellness company in factories, and I'm sitting there looking out at a cornfield talking to the specialist, and she's like, "I think I know what you have. It's Lyme disease. Oh, I know that's what you have. I think we can get you well, but you might die. So you need to go get all of your affairs in order. You need to quit your job immediately and stop homeschooling your kids tomorrow." Well, I was working 60-hour weeks. I ran our huge, we were the largest corporate wellness provider for a Fortune 500 company. I ran that. I homeschooled our 4 kids. Like, I was like, "What are you talking about? I can't just do that." And so I felt so much grief and loss around, losing my career, losing that time with my kids. So there were just all of these feelings that I just shoved in the box in a corner because I was like, "No, I have to focus on getting well. I can't deal with these feelings. That's just going to take me under.
Yeah.
It's absolutely going to bury me, and I'm going to drown in the feelings. So I'm just going to put it in a box, and someday I'll deal with that." Well, someday never came because I got the remission diagnosis, but I wasn't healed.
Yeah. I heard in there you say anger, and for me, anger was a big part of who I was. I mean, you wouldn't know it like interacting with me, people that I went to school with or whatever, but I had this underlying current of anger since my childhood. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom had died when I was 4. My dad remarried. I had a very chaotic childhood, and I had a lot of anger. And what I want to let people know is that when you don't express the truth, and growing up in my house, you were not allowed to say what you felt. You were not, it just wasn't accepted. You know, you're the kid. And what a lot of experts, particularly in trauma and in health, so if you've ever heard of Dr. Gabor Mate, I reference him a lot. I share clips of his a lot. He is somebody who talks about this. The immune system is a physical barrier, right, between our body and the rest of the world. So the immune system's job is to keep out viruses and bacteria and to handle chemicals and toxins that we come across in our environment and pesticides. So it's a barrier in our physiology. Anger is a barrier in our emotional body. Anger is when something is not okay, that you can say, no, that's not okay with me. And for many, many women in particular, you know, you want to be a good girl. It's not ladylike to get angry. And for both genders, there's lots of households where they're certainly not appropriately expressed. It's either the silent treatment, you know, people clam up and don't talk to each other and show their disapproval that way, or there's explosive anger, outbursts, fighting. So however that could be, it's not really a healthy way of knowing I feel anger and it's okay for me to express it, and the people around me are going to be able to receive it, and then we can move through it. So I had that, and I had autoimmune conditions, and Dr. Gabor Mate, talks all the time about autoimmune conditions are the physiological expression of unexpressed anger. And also, I do a lot of work with that and forgiveness when I'm working with clients. And there's radical forgiveness is all about cancer patients in particular. That's a specific program, radical forgiveness. It's not my program, but radical forgiveness started off anyway, working specifically with cancer patients and anger, that there's a direct link with cancer and unexpressed anger that you've held. So there are experts and people working in the field on this link and this tapestry that we are as a human living organism, that we're all connected. And one thing is going to shape the other. I wanted to show, let me take this away. I love how I can do this.
Yeah. And while you're showing that, let me just say something really quick too, Linda.
Yep.
Forgiveness, by the way, for those of you who are like, whatever has happened to me is unforgivable. And there are things that are absolutely unforgivable that have happened in people's lives, trauma and all that. Forgiveness is for us. And it is to free us and to allow us to live a healthy life. The byproduct might be that it's not about letting someone else off the hook or excusing or explaining away bad behavior. It's about setting ourselves free.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's so important. And when we do that work when I do that work with my clients, you know, we really take a different approach to forgiveness. It's not the, you know, maybe what you might think of as the typical, you know, I'll take the higher road and forgive you. It's really like a spiritual connection to the possibility of forgiveness and what it can do for you and for healing. So what I pulled up here, this second graphic, which is maybe not so easy to read. Maybe I wonder if I could expand it. I'm going to leave well enough alone or I'll disappear. But I'll say what this is. So in Chinese medicine in particular, which has, a 3,000-year-old success rate, they definitely have an approach. They kind of look at like the human body as like a garden. And instead of, okay, there's a plant over here not doing well, let me rip it out, right? Surgery, let's remove that. Or, let's pour more fertilizer on it. What they do is they say, why might this plant not be working, not be thriving? Is there too much sun? Is the soil, does it need to have a different pH? Are there not good nutrients in the soil? What's the water, right? So it's the same thing as the human body when they look at the human body and their approach to health. And so in Chinese medicine, this information comes a lot from that type of philosophy, that certain emotions will interact very specifically with certain parts of the body. So here, when you look at the liver and gallbladder, which is, right, getting rid of toxins, that's what the liver's job is, along with the kidneys together. And what are the emotions that are going to impact how that functions? Anger, jealousy, and envy, which to my mind are pretty toxic, right? I know when I lived so many years holding anger, how I felt in my life and my ability to really just relax and enjoy things was greatly diminished because of anger. So anger, jealousy, and envy are toxic, and they affect the organ that removes toxins from our body. The same thing. So the kidneys also will, here they are down here. So the kidneys also help work with the liver to get rid of toxins, and anxiety, depression, sadness, and fear are what inhibit the kidneys. So just as a side note, anxiety and fear, that's the group that we're running with the construct of Lent starting in mid-February for Lent. It's totally free. 40-day fast from fear and anxiety. And we're going to work on things and do some exercises and give you practices and some coaching on how to do that. But when you stay in anxiety, sadness, fear, anger, those things, the main detoxifiers of your body are not working. And that's going to build up so many physical symptoms. And what I wanted to point out is whatever is showing up in the physical world, in your physical body, has to be started first energetically. And that's true for anything in our world. Nothing exists without having first existed in an energetic realm. You have to have a thought about something and an energy that goes to that thought to then create it in actual 3D. Here it is, right? So our bodies are 3D. Here they are, but it's the energetic body that's going to determine how that physical body goes. So when we look at the heart, any negative emotions, hate, cruelty, and impatience are going to affect the heart. And over here we have I'm just reading this out loud in case people can't see it. Here's the colon, right? The stomach and the colon, which is also going to be impacted by impatience, stress, anger, hate. So again, the colon moves things out. It works with the liver. The liver and the stomach and the colon all work moving things out. The liver detoxes things that come to it from the lymph system, moves it to the colon, and out it goes from the body. And then in your your lungs, there's grief, sadness, right? Sadness, grief, depression. I went years ago to a woman, an acupuncturist who was from China. She was in China. She was an internal medicine doctor and also practiced Chinese medicine. Here she did Chinese herbs and acupuncture. She didn't know anything about my life or my story. She put her hands on me, sort of like as taking an assessment before we got started. And she said, "Oh, there's a lot of grief here." She put her hands over my heart. That was, and my lungs. And that was probably a year or so after my daughter died. And I had a lot of unprocessed grief. I just went through, my daughter, if you don't know me, passed away at the age of 15 and had started her medical journey the night she was born. She had open heart surgery the night she was born. She had a second one. She had a kidney transplant. She had a stroke. She got cancer in her brain from the immunosuppression of the transplant drugs from having the kidney transplant. So she spent 15 years, and I spent 15 years struggling with grief and fear and stress and all of that. And my health totally tanked. So this acupuncturist takes one look at me and she said, "Oh, so much grief. I can feel that right here over your lungs." So we wanted to make sure you understood that there is a direct connection, and to ask yourself, I'm going to take this off. Libby, did you want to say anything else while I leave this up?
Nope,
No?
go right ahead.
Okay. Now how do I do that? There I go. Okay. So I thought it would be a really good opportunity to ask yourself, if you do have some health issues, or you even just feel like maybe you say to yourself, well, this is what it is to get old. This is what it is to age. That's also something that we just think of in our Western culture, but there are plenty of cultures where people age and are vital and vibrant well into their 90s. Why is that? So if that applies to you, if you can see a relationship between your life experiences and emotions that you felt that you haven't processed, just consider that that is one thing in addition to whatever else you're doing that could make a difference. And if you want to come to our 40-day journey of fasting from fear and anxiety, here we go. I'm going to put the link right now in the comments so that you can have that. But if you, for some reason, don't see that, just go on Facebook, right? It's called Fasting from Fear and Anxiety, right? A 40-day journey. I think that's it, right, Lib?
Yeah.
So here is the link for that group. The group is free. The 40-day journey is free. If you know of somebody else that you always talk about how stressed you are, how hard life is, share it with them. And we just want to use that opportunity and that construct to get you into some practices that could make a difference.
Yeah. And I think what I would say is, while we are touching on autoimmune and health conditions, because this hits so many people with fear and anxiety that have that, even if you don't have that, we still want to have you with us. This is for anyone who wants to fast from fear and anxiety for any reason. And I also just want to tell you there's a lot of hope. Just, we've kind of shared the hard part of our story tonight, but we didn't stay stuck there. The good news is we have found our way to healing, to forgiveness, to wholeness, to health. And we want to share that with you. And a big piece of that is replacing the fear and anxiety with something better, because we can't, fear and anxiety are often a habit. They're a habitual way of thinking and believing and living. And unfortunately, we cannot break a habit. That's a misnomer, but we can replace it. And so that's really what this journey is about, is giving you some new tools in your toolkit to be able to replace those habits of fear, anxiety, dread, shame, guilt, anger, whatever, fill in that blank, with things that will serve you and take care of you, and give you the life and the trajectory you're actually looking for and you want. Because I don't know too many people who actually, wake up in the morning and go, wow, I really hope I have a super anxious, stressful, fearful, overwhelming, angry day. That sounds like that's exactly what I want to put on my order sheet. Nobody wants that, right? That's not how we're wired. Um, and if we are wired that way, it's because we're in drowning mode. We're in pain and suffering mode. And we're here to help. We're putting out that life preserver and saying, let us help you, because you don't have to stay stuck here. And so if this resonates with you, we would love to have you join us. We already have over 100 people in the room that are going to be joining us, so that's super exciting. There's always room for one more, always room for one more. We want to help as many people as we can. So bring as many of your friends and people you love on this lifeboat along with us. And if you're listening to us today and this is resonating and you're like, a free Facebook group sounds great, but I really think I need some more intensive help than, just what we're talking about here, You can also reach out to us, and we can talk about, the possibility of working with Linda one-on-one or in a group setting to be able to make that transformation in that journey in a faster way and a more intentional and focused way. So we would love for you to do either of those things. If that's something that sounds interesting to us, just message us, and we'll be happy to get you a link to have a free conversation with us around what that would look like. Because we're here, we have been there. I hope that you hear today, if nothing else, that we've been there and that we understand what it feels like to be in pain. We understand what it feels like to be in shame and fear and anger and resentment and terror and anxiety. And we don't want anyone to have to stay stuck there. That is not where anyone should be living. And so our gift to you is this free Facebook group, and we're here to help.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we'll see you again next Monday. We're popping in the group throughout the week anyway, in that Facebook group, and we will be starting the journey when Lent starts, which is February 18th.
Yes. So we'll see you soon. Hopefully, come join us.
Yep. Good night, Libby.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.